Hello and welcome back. I'm Darcy Darkness and this is Confessions from the Dark Side. How are you all in this wonderful community? I'm going to take the disclaimer out of the way because it's me and I can't be trusted ever. So we are full of so much adult content that some of you think this is necessary and some of you think this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out. But I'll say this only once. If you can't stand the heat, then get the fuck out of our kitchen. So for everyone else who likes what we have here, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started and are we ready? So what are we covering today? There's actually quite a lot that's been out since we started doing reviews here. Today we're covering a movie that I suggested in the review of the month. You know, what to look out for, the updates for each month. And this came out on Netflix last month, I believe, for Halloween. It's called Time Cut. I watched it, so you don't have to. If the movie is good or bad, it's up to you. I'm going to delve into this. A new movie that is a Netflix original, yet this concept has been done plenty. Instead of a sci fi take, they decided to label it as horror. I say that because you'll find out when I read the review that the horror aspect is not that horror in the movie. It's sci fi teen based drama llama, in my honesty, and they've just put a wee bit of slasher in there. But we'll get to that. Netflix seems to recreate a concept, execute it like a toddler having a meltdown. I hope this is not the case. Let's discuss. Well, you'll find out what I think, but hey, have you seen Time Cop? What do you... Time Cut, not Time Cop. Time Cop is a good movie, let's put it that way, and Time Cut, let's see, did I waste my time this time watching this, even though they've cancelled so much shit that's good? Let's dive in. Are we ready, my wonderful audience? Because I am. So it's a very teen movie trying to be edgy, as they do. Sweetly spree killer went on a rampage for 3 days and killed some high school teenagers. So the movie starts in the present, which is in 2024, but we take a random step out of 2024 and go back to a simpler time in 2003. In a small town where a tragedy happened that not only changes the families involved, but the town as a whole. Some high school seniors were killed, and no one ever found the killer. Lucy is a teen now who seems to only have been created by her parents to replace her sister, who was one of the victims who lost her life. She's lived a sheltered life due to her parents. Her parents aren't the people they once were, and Lucy feels as if her parents only had her as a spare. You can see a lot of this with children born after this sort of event, but this should never be the case. A child is a blessing, and it starts off as dark as Disney usually does, trying to paint a picture that reality is shit, and they want to paint it brighter to make everyone feel sorry for you from the start. Let's have a pity party, shall we? Imagine being born to replace the one they lost and always being compared and ignored, all at the same time, and wondering about the past and how the family was before, as everyone doesn't want to talk about it, or the people involved. It's as if they've become martyrs. It's forbidden to talk or ask questions, which I don't agree with in someone dying. It would hurt, but how is that moving on or remembering the ones that you have lost along the way and you have loved the most? Her sister's bedroom hasn't been touched since her last time she was there. It's a shrine to her, but her sister's room had a squeaky floorboard. And there was letters, yet she never came across them before, or anyone else for that matter. And again, this town never found the killer, and no other murders happened. It just lay there in shock for 21 years, and no one had any leads or had anything that panned out. Not really that suspicious, and it is very suspicious. It really, really is. And I get it, small towns and small villages and things like that don't have a police department that would be able to handle that. But if there was children, young adults killed, it wouldn't just be the police from the town or even the state. It would most likely, if they thought it was a slasher or a serial killer, they would have someone like the FBI or something like that getting involved, especially if they haven't found the killer. And cold cases lie cold and dormant for decades. And then they get opened because there actually is like a charity. I know that if you buy Hunter Killer, the game, a percentage of each box, which is a subscription box that for true crime, a small percentage of that goes to the cold case fund that helps basically open cold cases and actually find the real suspect and actually close them so the families can have closure, which I think is an amazing thing to do. So this is like, this something like this would actually happen. Her sister was called Summer and she was popular. Lucy is not. They're the exact opposite, it seems. Lucy is incredibly smart and has been offered an internship at NASA. Her parents are not happy about it, but again, she's never had a normal life because of how protective they are with everything since Summer's death. Her sister has a secret, and again, this is them just. She finds a letter. It says basically they're going to do something or they can't do something. It's just a letter basically that's a symbol and a sign basically to show that something was not right in Summer's life. So is this to do with how she died and no one's actually picked up on it, or is this just random teen shit, basically? So there's a whole lot of baggage that she finds when she's in her sister's room. It does start off really quickly. It shows you her life, Lucy. It shows you the school because they went to the same school, and there's a teacher who taught her sister and also obviously teach Lucy, a science teacher that she really, really likes, and everybody seems to compare Lucy to Summer, even though they're two different people and they actually aren't alike, but they look similar. So there's a lot of people, obviously, who in town working around Summer and saw her grow up. So when they see Lucy, you see them, it's like a shock when they see her, even though they know it's Lucy. It's just like for a second, split second to see Summer, which again happens to us all when we lose someone, where we think we see someone or a smell triggers or anything can trigger you remembering them. That happens to me on a daily basis, unfortunately, and it hurts. It really fucking does. So imagine what it's like for the people who actually, like our parents and things like that, how difficult it is for them. As they're stuck in time when you think about it. They're stuck in time where they can remember having her in their life, but they've lost her for longer. She was only like a teenager, 15 or 16, I think, maybe 16. So she's been dead for 21 years. No closure, no one was found. So they've got this like big empty chapter that and no ending basically for Summer because they've never found the killer. It's incredibly weird. The BFF, which is the boy whose name is Quinn, by the way, the childhood friend who basically was in love with her, and he's a smart kid. He's like Lucy, great potential, but she abuses the friendship by having her do her homework first. It's such a cliche. Is there such people who actually do this though? Because I never came across them at school. People being ignored, yeah, by the person that they obviously have feelings for. Like secondary school and high school is not hard enough. Well, you've got loads of shit going on, but being rejected is something that most of us will remember, and it's not a nice feeling for anyone. But I have never came across someone doing their homework just so they can get attention from someone they like. It must be an American thing because I don't remember it here. So I don't ever, but I don't pay much attention. But I don't think it is really something. I think it's more over there and rather than here. Maybe it's different now. Someone ignores them and she just acts up when she needs something. She is such a tunt. Her friends were killed and she goes to a party anyway somewhere because it goes back to show you what actually happened, just a glimpse of they're in a barn and that's where they actually have her memorial is because she was killed there at this big red barn where the kids and teens had parties and stuff. There's like a total shrine in the whole town for obviously the kids that were killed. It was all popular kids, by the way. I'm not saying that that's an excuse to go out and kill the popular kids, because not all popular kids are dicks. Do you know what I mean? But they just seem to have used the kind of mean girls type of character build that they're cunts. They're not very nice. They're dicks, and they should die. But that's not always the case. Why would you go to a party knowing that your life could be at risk because your pals have just been killed like day before? Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't go there even though they think, oh, because it's in a public place and there's lots of people that nothing's going to happen. Hello, Scream, huge movie theatre, filled with people, people killed. It doesn't matter if a serial killer is going to show up. He's going to show up. If he's going to kill someone, he's going to kill someone, no matter where they are. The location doesn't matter. The population, the location, nothing happens. It's basically an execution of what they are planning to do in their head. So location and population, people, do not matter a fuck when a serial killer has an agenda to execute his plan. Well, she's taken out Summer, and they've tried to hone that time, how dumb they are to make the characters in the movie, as many have. They've tried to hone in that time, like I said, which is incredibly dumb, showing the way they've portrayed the characters. It makes you want them to die gruesomely. more than their actual demise on screen because they don't put up a fight and they just look pointless and lazy. It's really lazy storytelling here. While she is there, he ignores the poor kid who's obviously in puppy love with her, and he's barking up the wrong tree as Summer has a secret. Her study buddy was more than a study buddy. And that's what the letter was about, we find out. And that she didn't know how to tell her parents that she was gay. So, of course, the boy doing her homework has been led on all this time, and she knew. And she still got him to hand over his notes or do her homework. He tries to tell her, and she leaves him high and dry for her ex. A popular boy who is a bully, by the way, no shit, who'd have guessed popular people and their shitty behaviour. He then puts himself in harm's way and gets killed, so basically, well done, Summer, for being a dumbass and playing that, not even leading lady, that leading victim. Basically led her up the garden path to die, but hey. The killer is wearing a mask that's very, very similar to The Killer in Valentine. If you've seen that, it's a really cheesy horror movie that was out when David Boreanaz was like just on our screens basically as Angelus from Buffy and Angel, and also he was in Bones as well. Very Cupid-like. It's got the same feeling as all horror movies that Netflix have, where they are trying to capture a time when slashers were the rising popular option of that time. And in the 20th century, sorry, especially around the 90s, when slashers and horror and things were being rebooted by the infamous and amazing man in horror, Wes Craven, who's no longer with us. He revamped slasher and he revamped the genre for us, but Netflix failed to deliver that, and they're trying to be the next Wes Craven. They're trying to focus, rebuild on a concept that they don't add anything to. They just put it in there and then hope for the best, which again, your execution is shit. But your execution is shit in many things and not just horror. The movie comes across as Dawson's Creek meets every slasher remake, which is a failure for this genre. It's more feelings rather than gore and a killing spree, which is true, especially for this movie. We don't even want the main character to be successful by the time the introduction has started. It's literally, oh, they die. And now we are trying to find the killer after 2 decades, and the only people who care about would be the families. But why now? Why have they managed not to find the killer? And not when it happened. Again, it's given me Scream TV show reboot, and that was awful. We do not want to remember this, and most of us want to pretend that show never even existed, like the last movies after the trilogy never even happened. So again, you're not capturing the audience, you're just making us bored and wanting them to die faster. So like I said, the movie starts, shows you what happened briefly at the start, and then it shows you Lucy and Lucy's life, and then it shows you parts of her life with her parents, and her parents obviously are not the same. You wouldn't be the same after losing your kid like that, but hey, it's her sister's anniversary, and it's just like boohoo past boohoo. And again, I'm not slating the death of someone, I'm slating how they have executed the death of this girl. They fixated on her and not the other people that were killed, because three other teenagers were killed, and they always focus on Summer because obviously Lucy has the connection because it's her sister. So it's all about Summer, not about anyone else. They're at the barn, like I said, where demise happened, and her mother puts wee sandals down of Summer's. I know for a fact I couldn't part with something personal like that for my child. Knowing my child had worn them, learn to walk, memories. I couldn't put them down for everybody to see, because this is a memorial that the town actually puts things down for the people that lost their lives. I couldn't put something that personal down. Even after 21 years, I'd be wanting to have them close to me, especially if you didn't have much of your children's belongings, because again, over the years, things get lost, things get damaged, shit happens. I just wouldn't want to part with anything like that. I still have things in my kids in a box that's fireproof and damage proof and everything like that, because I want to be able to go back when they're older and look at things, kind of memories and nostalgia. There's no way I could have done that. I think it's creepy but nice that they remember, but dragging a kid here every year and making it so depressing rather than allowing her to talk about her sister Summer in the first place and learn about her life and fall in love with her when she was alive, when she was happy, when the family were happy. It seems that the family just don't want to talk about Summer, and they don't want to even acknowledge her with Lucy. Lucy actually is Summer's middle name, so they've technically named her after her as well, like as a wee, hats off the fact that they lost their daughter. But again, they compared her, and yes, they're trying to keep her safe but they're being so overprotective that she doesn't really have friends. It seems, Lucy, in her reality in her time, she just seems to be on her own all the time because of the way her parents have raised her, no doubt. She then stumbles across a device set up. And of course she had to touch it, shiny and interesting, so you can imagine shock horror. It's a time machine, really, in the barn where her sister was killed, and now she will go back and do what? Do something that the police and investigators could not. Find her sister, kill her. Find her sister she never knew, was never around. Will she be able to even do it? If she turned the clock around and saved her sister, what would this accomplish? Would she even be born as a replacement? Would she ever even exist if her sister didn't die? That's the question. And this movie has a lot of lingering obstacles like that. It's horrible to think that there is people out there that have been born and created for replacements or spares. I think that all kids should be equal. Again, I had this growing up where my older sibling was favoured more and still was. Even when he did wrong, he was still favoured. Didn't matter what I did, good or bad. I was never noticed. Again, I would never do that to my children. I only have one child. If I had multiple children, I would love them all the same and not treat them any differently. But hey, goes back, and it's 2003 and changes the timeline, of course. Saves the childhood BFF from being thrown in the river because the bullies, again, are at Summer's school. Her ex boyfriend's been a tunt, and they're about to throw a kid in the river who can't swim. Bullying, fucking hate it. Again, bullies actually doing that, knowing that the kid can't swim, that could be terrifying for the people watching this and not fucking stopping it, like fucking cowards and goading this prick. But that kid could die. He could also get severe trauma from fucking being thrown in a river and can't swim and having no help to do anything. This happened back then. Lucy steps in though. Lucy's like makes fun of the bully, who's a cock. His name's Ethan. Lucy sticks up for him and she saves him from being thrown in. Shows the school that you're a bunch of fucking dickheads for not fucking stopping this. She saves the day, and then this is the first thing she does. She's changed time. Not just the fact that she went back and started the change. She started the change when she rescued Quinn from being thrown in the river. And everybody who's actually there are actually the ones that were killed, funnily enough. So we have a BFF from childhood who has feelings for Summer, who is being bullied by her friends and she doesn't do anything about it or stop it or stick up for him because that's not nice. Then showing you their sister's character that she's might be a nice girl, but she can't stick up for people and she has no backbone whatsoever. She allows people to be bullied and picked on. Our sister looks at Lucy because obviously she did something that she apparently cannot, which is human and badass by sticking up for the guy. Ethan is butthurt about him giving him a beating. He taking matters into her own hands. The other kids just stand by and watch. Again, this scene is pivotal, as I keep saying. I don't feel sorry for the kids taken out slasher style. The note thing has been done before, and this whole idea that someone may or may not have had a grudge against her and her friends. Again, it's Mean Girls with a serial killer, not a mass killer, sorry, as this was not done at the same time, side by side, but a few days apart, but with the same effect to take out a common denominator. Seems to be the popular kids, if not by a peer, then by whom and why. Is this something to do with the families? Was it coincidental? Were they cunts? Did they deserve it? Well, I'm going to answer that right now. Were they cunts? Yes. It shows you. And did they deserve it? No one deserves to die, but they deserve to be taken down a peg or two, though. It just shows you Lucy trying to spend time with Summer, but saying that she goes to school with her and all that, or she will do. That's what she says to her because she's saying that she's not at the school, but she will be. She's Summer's age. It's just weird because Summer can feel a connection to Lucy and doesn't understand why. Again, kids that have been separated, like twins at birth and stuff, people feel a connection with folk. It's incredibly common for siblings to feel that too. Why has Netflix done shit like this before, taking concepts from the past and not even broaden the story or the idea, but just rip it off and not do? Netflix needs to do better. Will they ever? Probably not. So it's Hot Tub Slasher Machine. It is. Then again, whatever you change back then will unravel and fuck up your time zone here, remember, in your time yet. Lucy forgets this, or doesn't care about it, and does what the fuck she wants. Selfish? Most definitely. Let's travel back to a simpler time and fail more and show them you have come back and make people wonder more and more as you fuck up the timeline, shall we? Oh, she's just realised her town is different. Shock horror, it's 2003. Everything is different. People are different. The world is different. Yet her clothing fits in with this type. Either she's into vintage or she has a terrible sense of style because it was awful. But there is the fact her parents were stuck in the past and creating a life to try and get another chance. They could have kept her in early so they've kept her kind of in the early 2000s. It's like they've done it on purpose. Heelys, I remember these. Fucked myself up in them, never use them in the rain or you'll fuck yourself up like I did. Yes. I was in my 20s and I had a pair of Heelys and they were awesome. They were so comfy. Take a chill pill. Why the fuck does no one say that nowadays? I think I do have said it since I've watched this film, like I'm trying to bring it back or something. But yeah, same teacher, like I said, asked what do you think of time travel, and he basically says it would create a paradox, a ripple effect causing devastation, yet she did it. She touched things she shouldn't have, and she went for it. I'm from the future, and she shows her phone to Quinn to prove this, because Quinn doesn't believe her. I wonder why. And he's like, what the fuck? Someone who's incredibly intelligent like him, you would think he would have actually started to think about handheld devices. Look at fucking Star Trek, for fuck's sake. Star Trek was ahead of its time. The original series and basically every other Star Trek franchise has been ahead of the curve. Where they've had like things that look like mobile phones and personal computers that are handheld and everything like that. And they've showed that in many TV shows when they're showing, the past and the present. So again, this guy never thought about that. An incredibly intelligent guy who wants to get into, obviously, he wants to do something in science because he's in the science lab when all the other kids are doing other things, and he's really friendly with the teacher, and they talk about how intelligent he is and stuff. He hasn't thought about the future and the future of technology and how technology is going, really? Even in 2003? It's a pocket computer and he doesn't even understand it again. It's really annoying. He asked the question, is Paris Hilton still hot? Of all the things to ask, lol, all the things to really ask, shallow as fuck. What you should be asking is, does she still sound like that bimbo? No, she doesn't, because it's actually a character. And for people who didn't realise that Paris Hilton was playing a fucking character, yes, her name is Paris Hilton. Yes, she is an heiress, but she's a very intelligent person. Not only just for the fact about her name, but she created a character that people thought she was when she wasn't. So she's much smarter than people were led to believe. So that's what he needed to ask. But hey, for fuck's sake, her sister got smart boys to do her homework. Yeah, I don't understand this. Again, it's just mind blowing here. And apparently she's a bitch. Popular kids have a reputation and they also have a personality that you have to still be popular, and it's to be a cunt. And I don't understand how that makes you popular. You find out that Lucy was actually created via IVF, and it was years later. It wasn't like automatically, which means because her mum and dad may have been a bit older, the older you are, men can have babies forever, but women have an expiration date. And even in the 2000s, we're not as far on medically in 2003 as we are now, and the things that are available now weren't available then, or if they weren't really as popular or available to everybody, even though her dad had a relatively good job and he was a scientist as well. Lucy and Summer become friends, and then that's when you're going to start get fucky with the timeline when you actually implicate yourself, when you start to put yourself into their life, when you start to develop relationships with them and get to know them, you find out information that could actually fuck you over, and they could find out information about you. It's weird because she starts to fuck with the time zone and the fact that she fucked with Quinn, she fucked with him in his event that was pivotal to the story and also pivotal in his life. That he went from boy to scared boy to now has a friend and now she's from the future and now they're doing other things. Again, she started fucking up the timeline from the start when she decided to, well, touch the machine in the first place because she wasn't just inquisitive and nosy, she was just a teenager, basically. She plays dress up with her sister, having fun that she didn't have before because, of course, her sister had died. She is invited to dinner by the parents and she sees her parents the way they are with Summer and they're not like that with her. So showing that obviously their parents were heartbroken is an understatement because their child was killed. She didn't want it to end, of course, because again, she's been an only child and she's been the shadow of the death of hers. She doesn't want it to end because it's something that she never had growing up and never had the chance to get to know her because it seems she doesn't really get to talk about her or learn about her and things like that because her parents don't want her to, which is abuse in itself. She says she couldn't stand up to the popular boys. No, you can. You just chose not to. That was similar to Lucy, and that's why she never ever stops the bullies from being nasty to the kids, other kids, which is bullshit. She realises the time and she's trying to prevent the kids from being killed in the mall. The killer's in plain sight. He looks like a mannequin and he's just standing there watching them. She goes in a push scooter, really, to go save them, save the day on a scooter. Again, they're fanning about, waiting till the last minute. You know what it's like when you work in a shop and you're trying to get out, but you get that one customer that doesn't fuck off and just drags it on to the end, and you know, fine, well, you're going to be stuck there for ages. That's what their friends do in the store, and he has American Psycho on disc. And the killer breaks it in half and then kills the guy called Brian with it, so he gets killed by Patrick Bateman. No one has the balls to take him out. No one hears the screams at all in a mall that's closing. No one hears because we are relatively quieter at that point. Yet no one sees them through CCTV. And at this point, CCTV, I don't know if it was everywhere in malls in America, but there was a security guard in the place on the floor. She manages to save Val briefly, and Idiot falls up the escalator because they tried to go down it and then they tried to climb back up it because it's doing the opposite direction. But as a dumbass Val is, she deserves it. She's killed by an escalator basically, and the security guard's killed after obviously her interruption. So not only has she went back to the past to try and save her sister and save the kids that were killed, she gets the security guard killed, and the girl ends up being killed in a more violent way. So she didn't stop that from happening because if shit's going to happen, it's going to happen. And stop fucking with the timeline. Just stop it. She now has got another killed in the paradox caused because the paradox caused death to change, and she didn't save the day, which was pointless. Her fellow smart student gives her a place to stay so no one finds her because she's not to be there, yet he opens his home to a stranger with a story. Not believable. It's not her time. Boo hoo. And why are teens back then more mature? Because again, I may have been 20 here, but most teens were not Dawson's Creek teens. These were a creation of Kevin Williamson, and they were not really not believable then, and they're definitely not real and believable now. Focus on fixing the machine, apparently, and getting her back to her time. What? Because she's already fucked things up? But you can change the future when you change the past. For someone into science, you would think she would know that, but alas, she does not. And she doesn't even care. Really, it seems apparently not. It's such a contradiction here. Creeps around her home in the past wanting her father's keycard because they need the father to get into the father's work, the lab, to get antimatter for the machine because the antimatter is what the machine needs for it to work for her to go back. Obviously, she didn't think about getting more antimatter and getting to the machine and all that carry on, but hey, before. Now she's admitted, I'm your sister. Shock horror. You're going to fuck shit up. I haven't been born yet. Your parents didn't have you in the future. Yet the death of the daughter they wanted made them have you to replace her. Moving on, abusive much. I am from the future. No shit. She shows the letter from Ethan that she thought was from Ethan. She found the meaning she hasn't been given it yet. Was it Ethan? Was it someone else? You just expected it to be Ethan because they signed it E. The handwriting was very feminine. Doubt it was. I'm not saying that men can't have feminine writing, but women and men, their writing is different, and actual handwriting experts have proven this plenty. Why would I make this up? Maybe you aren't Maybe you are having a psychotic break and you are delusional because you sound it. You won't divulge anything or everything and you're acting shady, suspicious. The teens have been killed. She knew, Lucy, knew something, and yet she tried to prevent it from happening and failed. Working on the time machine and showing one smart kid what is available and what are you are capable of now and working together to get back and find out who built it. She's freaked out by a modem sound. Hello. Dial up. Oh, I don't miss that noise again. Also, would she not have tinkered with old devices? I know I used to. It's called exploration, adventure, and learning, but she's never even heard this before. But hey, she tells her sister a lie, and said others die, and that she's a good life. No, you die too. Wake up, Summer. That's right. Summer is apparently dumb and not as smart as Lucy, and you just proved it right there. Why would you come back to see your sister if she didn't die and you're trying to stop something? Quinn, please, I need your help. Can you? Quinn. They show him as well weak. They show him so weak and that he would do anything for female attention. Really? Really? That's despicable, man. Always with showing weak boys in love with women they can't get or young women they can't get. Again, what the fuck? He knows changing the past won't help the future, yet still massages her ego by helping her anyways, even though he knows it's wrong. I could be wrong. Am I though? And then we all die. And she's not even created. Yet what happens when you fuck up the timeline of the universe? Lucy, stop being a selfish bitch. They compared it to she's all that. Yes, she's all that. Yeah, no, that's not a horror or sci-fi movie, but a teen rom-com. What the actual fuck, Netflix? Not ironic. Just you are acting like a fool. Writers of Netflix, do your research or shut the fuck up. Not the same concept, not even close. They have a wrench, a baseball bat, and a flashlight, and no instincts at all. Well, Lucy has sass and a brain. Well, sometimes those others do not. So you're bringing the lambs to the slaughter. Literally, you're just bringing them to the killer and getting them to the killed quicker. Emmy is the love interest of Summer, and who wrote the letter. Emmy's at the museum listening to shit music because it's 2003 and pop music was so very shit. I'd probably say it was a better quality then than it is now, but still far fetched. She was taken out at work. I don't know why they haven't cashed in the future by doing murder walks, etc. for like true crime, as no killer was found and it's still an open case. Yet, reliving the case, the story, why haven't they done this? I know it's bad taste, but lots of people do it. And in this day and age, I have absolutely loved true crime my entire life. I know everybody thought I was weird growing up, but now everybody's into it and it's everywhere. I still don't understand why no one really has done that in the town. That would generate people coming to the town, even though it's a bit morbid, but it would still generate people coming. And maybe people would want to find who actually did the killings, and maybe try and resolve an open cold case. But hey, why is there no warnings or mass shutdowns? Why is no one being investigated? Why aren't they say, hey, watching the Friends, why is no one doing anything? A small town doesn't mean dumbass, surely. Why did no one see anything weird? Nothing at all. No one matching the description even back then. They would have had a camera or two. But no. She has headphones on and she is not paying attention. We have all been there. I am like that all the time. He's stalking someone who isn't even aware of it. Worst stalker ever. The killer is on the same floor and is being tracked and watched by the killer. Watching her, what would have been her last moments, and Summer gets her attention, and now they are being chased by the killer. And again, the killer not noticing they know who he is or where he is and what he's about to do, yet still is about watching from the top of the boat. Very, I know what you did last summer, yet the mash reeks on Valentine. We stopped it. Did you though? You have just adapted the timeline, and she will die, and you fucked up again. Lucy, do better. Quinn is like, why aren't we driving across state lines? Because it wouldn't stop it. I'm going to tell her. That hug wasn't friendly, it was more than friendly. Really. Lucy talks about how different it is to be gay in this world in the 21st century and how it's more accepting for you to come out to your parents and your family. And she talks about how there's some really cool people that came out and you can get married now in most states in America and things like that. So she's trying to explain to her sister that she shouldn't be ashamed to come out, especially to her parents. And if she did it, then she would probably be much happier. But again, 20 odd years ago, still persecuted, especially in a small town. Again, small village, small town, same mentality. It's never nice. She also tells her about the future again. Red flag behaviour. Don't talk about the future. Why would you do it? It's not your timeline in the future. The future is just stop. She realizes something similar is up and won't tell anyone because this is what she should have done in the first place. But something is on her mind. Yes, she was created as a replacement, and she knows it. Even more so now since meeting her parents in the past. And the family have it. The family they were then isn't what they are now in the future, and she wants the family from then as they are so much more loving and supportive. Lucy, your parents went through a trauma no one should ever go through, so I understand both sides, but Lucy being selfish, she is going to change too much and then the future is fucked. If there is a future for her, that's the thing. Is it the waitress who said you just look so much like her in the start? Is she the killer? Since they keep going back and showing you her when Summer was alive, basically. Are we friends? And she was so sad. So no, not friends, but sisters. Were you an accident? Love how Summer isn't afraid to say, are you a mistake because of the age difference? And apparently it was IVF, so she was planned, but they wanted her for all the wrong reasons and not shown the life that Summer had. Why did they wait so long yet she cannot come to terms with telling her when we knew she would have to tell it at some point anyways, because come on, she's a needy teen, wanting validation and attention from a past life that she wasn't part of, but she wants to be, but never would be anyways. Would you go back and change things and fuck up the future for your own selfish wants and needs? See that one person you miss the most, even though you've never even met them, because there's something missing from your life? She asked her parents then if they wanted more kids, and they said one was enough. So she was a spare replacement. So her feelings of being that way, I think she kind of wanted the validation of maybe saying, oh, maybe they would have another kid if they thought about it, kind of thing, but they didn't. She got the answers there that her parents basically had one child and had no plans to have any more, but they had IVF to have her to replace Summer, which wouldn't be nice to hear at all. She tells them she got an internship with NASA and they're really happy about it. But in the future, when you saw her tell her parents at dinner in the restaurant, they saw it as a burden and they didn't want her to leave, even though she is a burden to them to an extent. They don't want her to go because they can't look after her. Even though they're in the same town when Summer died, they couldn't protect her from who killed her. They couldn't get closure of her killer. They don't know who killed her. So they've literally been living with this hanging over their heads. There's a lot of baggage there. He reads Quinn's letter about Summer. Is he the killer? He can't be because he was there with her when the killings were happening, or that's what they're trying to show you. Is it showing us less to pin it on others, even though it was clear as day he was in love with a sexually confused teen who realizes she's gay in the closet and scared to tell anyone that loses her girlfriend and the one she loves the most then dies and no one knows about the relationship. But the teen boy doesn't care. He wants to become Buffalo Bill and wear her like a hat. That's a better story than this one. Goes back in time to make a lady suit of all the women that reject them. Why do they make out that teens have no self-control and will do warrant things to satisfy their urges? Because again, doesn't always happen that way. Even the slim chance it most likely would it or would not. That's the question. So smart kids are killers and dumb kids deserve it? Okay, Netflix. So many plot holes in creating more as the story goes on. Stop making the storyline a paradox of hate. She couldn't tell her, as if she did, her parents wouldn't have had her. Complicated. No shit, Lucy. No shit. But you brought it to the fucking table anyway. Of all the things of not telling people, she's done a really terrible job at keeping any secrets to herself. It was really selfish to go back, selfish to not tell her. It was selfish to give her a part of the story, and it was selfish to keep everything else from her, but only show a lot of nothing rather than everything. It's weird because she even involves her in the story and the plot of her demise, basically, and how to prevent it. It's weird. But again, we have different theories and different lifelines and different worlds and universes where Summer would be alive. Maybe Lucy would have been born earlier, maybe Lucy would never born at all, kind of thing. But again, they don't even talk about that existence or the existence of many lives and many universes in this. Again, wasn't really researched this movie for this concept. They just think they wanted to fill a gap because they didn't have many horror or teen things out, and they were literally trying to cash in the fact that it was October and they needed something, so they had this. I never truly existed and was defined by your death, and she was born to fill it with her. Yet they never spoke much or made her feel like she was ever as good as Summer, and that her family just wanted to fill a hole in their life that maybe shouldn't have been with a child. It was so wrong. If I die, you live. If I survive, you don't ever exist. The plot thickens. Should have not gone back, but hey, her being a smart, intelligent kid, she would want to go back, but she didn't know what the machine was in the first place. She didn't even check it out before she actually walked towards it. But hey, she doesn't want her sister to die, and she did a plan. A successful plan? Not lightly. The town never recovered from those killings. I'm not surprised it's morning, and that is the truth of a small town, and kids being killed would shock and terrorise the community. It would never be the same again. Lucy apologises for being selfish, the first and only time. Quinn still shows up and helps to steal the antimatter. Summer is at a party yesterday. Again, why go out and party knowing you could die? And actually knowing this time you would die, not just like before when she went to the party without her sister going back. She could have died, but they know she does die at this party but still goes. They toast their dead friends, and then she grabs Emmy and kisses her in front of everyone and showing she loves her and she should be living her true life. And she says, I love you, I want you. I want you to remember that she says, remember that, and then she walks away. Lucy wants to save her because it wasn't someone's fault. She was always in her shadow. That was her parents who did that. Her parents, the abusers of the story. And again, it wasn't someone's fault, but Summer also didn't step in when her pal from childhood was almost thrown in the fucking river, who was in love with her, and she fucking was a nasty bastard to the poor guy. But again, the guy literally allowed it to happen just so he could be close to her. The killer is here, and Summer is running, and he is following as killer. Stalkers and the obsessed fanboys and girls would do to be so close to their obsession, as they will never be close to them like this, so they make it so. She did the thing she couldn't before to show her true self in her demise. People will know what she is happiest with. Who is Amy? And everyone knows now, but she wanted her to know before anything happens. Because she has balls now to tell the world she's gay, but didn't before. Oh, then not believable, but hey, the security guard in the plant has been killed. More people, additional kills because of this, because the killer knows that she's came back and or someone has came back and is changing things. Meaning the killer has come back multiple times, maybe to relive it, to redo it, to do it differently. Who the fuck knows? Because he's obviously holding a fucking grudge, isn't he? I'm saying he because it sounds very he-like, and rather than, even though I know who killed him, but you know what I mean. The killer keeps going back. The killer's intelligent enough to build that machine and keep going back to that time. Kill them over and over again like a wee sick puffy because he's what? They want to relive the feeling of taking out the popular kids. It's a bit sick. Instead of reliving it in your head, he's just going back and doing it, it seems, and thinking that no one would touch his machine and go back or any complications. Okay, then. It just, again, it's plot holes and plot holes and plot holes. It's the biggest plot hole movie I've seen in a long time. Again, it's just sick. It just is. They keep portraying that the killer is smarter than them, but the killer is stuck in their teens, and reliving a moment of glory of when he felt most powerful, when he felt powerless most of his life. So you find out Lucy doesn't seem to be loved by her family because the killer keeps going back to get caught, changing the timeline and screwing shit up in this time frame. We don't know how many times that he's actually been successful with this machine, and why go back and why keep doing it. It makes no sense at all. Unless he actually regretted what he did, which he doesn't because he still goes back and tries to kill them, so he obviously doesn't regret it. The machine is his, the killer's, so why go back and stop or do it again? Because he's a sick fuck, that's why. But try and have some antimatter so they do get some one. Obviously, there was one wee canister left because the killer took them all, yet no one's reported it? Really? In a lab? Okay then. Face to face with the killer, he has a scythe, very death of him. Someone really needs to get out more. Stop the cliches. She closes her eyes and then the killer is hit with a car. Karma. A change in the timeline perhaps between the killer and Lucy. Because was he hit by a car back then and that's why he was never found? Lucy, I am surprised the world hasn't imploded with the changes. Yes, so am I. listen to Randy Meeks from Scream. When they are killed, or you think they've been killed, they fucking come back. They come back stronger, especially in sequels. You have to really make sure that they are dead. It's always like they laugh about it in Zombieland. It's a double tap. You really have to make sure that when you take out a killer, you take them out because they have this ability to come back. Yet they don't in this movie, Shock Horror. The teens from the 90s are obviously much more, well, they're much more intelligent. They're way more proactive. And look at Sydney Prescott compared to the rest of them in this movie. Sydney manages to take down, yes, with other people, but she was the main victim and she still manages to become the hero. So none of these people really are heroic enough for me or have the balls like her, Neve Campbell, and Sydney Prescott, the character, and the previous Scream Queens before her. He's moving, really, yes. And now you're stuck, and the car won't move. Shame. And guess what? It's Quinn from the future. Why go back if he killed her for being rejected by her? She was gay, yet she shouldn't have used him. Like I said, what the fuck? Why go back? Don't do her homework. Maybe just leave her be and just go stalk someone else. Or don't stalk. Actually get to know someone, fall in love with them. There is someone for everyone, and the one you love in high school and dream about most of the time, you don't get to be with. So stop boohooing. Basically, there's someone for everyone, put it that way, and be with them for fuck's sake. It's so terrible how they write teens and their behaviours, especially now, when anyone can meet anyone. Oh my fucking god. There is a person for everyone. Lucy believes he's not going to become that monster. That's a lot of belief when he has been going back to relive and kill the same people over and over again. She has so much hope for him. What the fuck? Had he killed more? And this was all that was left because he kept going back to finish the job and failed each and every time. This is horrific to think that he didn't do what he planned to then build a machine in the future to come back to relive it. Take more lives because he hadn't moved on from being bullied and rejected by the popular girl he didn't stand a chance with because she was gay. Boo hoo! You were smart, you wasted your brain on the wrong person, and that's all on you, Quinn. Stop blaming others. Be accountable for your own actions, you dick. But the river didn't happen, like I said. This time as Lucy saved him, and he wrote you a letter, and she told him, and you could never love us like that, and he wanted to escape. So he made a plan to kill Summer, kill her friends, and disappear again. Quinn takes the Stanley blade, which is a box cutter, says, if I die, you die, then says, you created me, and then takes him back to the future. He hits him with a charger for a car. Is he actually dead or will he come back? Again, you get hit with a car. He has been hit with a charger from an electrical vehicle. And this is not the end. He came back, of course, and then gets stabbed with his own blade. And again, the hero music plays. And now she's like, I was born or not. I will never know. I was supposed to go back and save the day, but fuck up the timeline at the same time. Isn't that a pat in the back, Lucy? No, it's not. I kind of like having a sister, Summer says to Quinn. So creating her through the worst decision and making her a replacement and not giving her the love and attention she needed in her own time but receives it in this time, weird. That they haven't noticed that Summer and Lucy look alike. The parents. Dumb! Sorry. Not sorry. The slasher is dead, but she came back to tell her sister she belonged here. And then is not going back to her time because if she went back to her time, she probably didn't exist, meaning she could stay alive in the past. But again, she isn't supposed to exist. So how does that work? Go university and survive in a time she didn't ever exist? Whose life got fucked up in this timeline for her to stick around, and whose timeline got fucked up in the future? It would have to be rewritten, or would she walk off the end of the earth into nothing? Who the fuck would know? How the fuck would that happen? To the present, life is short. All we can do is enjoy the moment. Hug the ones we love. To the present. The one right now is worth fighting for. That time is now. It ends. Finally. Yes, finally. Pointless and wouldn't happen. And the killer, the childhood friend, really not the people bullied by these tunts throughout life. But because he was saved, the timeline didn't stop. His past self coming back to kill them over and over again. And for what reason? Again, grow the fuck up, Netflix. You need to stop making slasher movies as you clearly do not know what one actually is. Stop making them child friendly. Horror is not for kids. Well, that type of horror is. And stop destroying the last of the slasher culture with this shite. Cannot believe I wasted my time watching a movie that literally felt like a Sweet Valley High movie, along with the secret message of love your family and good things will happen. People die all the time, it's sad, but stop saying go back in time and fix things when it would not do a thing. You are not hitting the audience. Clearly, it shows that Netflix originals aren't hitting anything but the bin. An hour and 30 minutes long, and it did not have to even be an hour and 30 minutes long. Padded out a lot of shit as usual. Slasher horror, no. Teen horror, teen yes. Time travel, yes. Horror, no. Mystery, Mystery of why the fuck they still haven't found a killer. Sci-fi, the aspects of time travel, yes. And thriller, it didn't thrill me. High school student accidentally travels back to 2003 accidentally and decides to stop the serial killer who murdered her sister. Now I keep thinking, did he put it there so he could be challenged by someone from the future? Who the fuck knows? Directed by Hannah McPherson. Writers are Hannah McPherson. Oh, Hannah, you need to not write anymore, or go explore. And Michael Kennedy stars Madison Bailey, who plays Lucy. Antonia Gentry plays Summer. Michael Shanks plays Gil. Griffin Gluck, Quinn. Megan Best is Amy. Samuel Braun is Ethan. Sydney Saveston. Val O'Connor is Brian. Poor Brian gets killed by American Psycho disc. What a way to go. But again, the mum and dad are really in it. It's all about Lucy. I do feel that Totally Killer Prime is, because it's one of the movies that are actually shown, that they actually like something that more like this, that they try to do the version of Prime's Totally Killer where they send shitty Sabrina back to a time where there was something going on when her mum was a teenager and she has to stop it. That's pretty much what this film was trying to be. It felt like it gets 5 out of 10, and I think that is, well, that is generous. Let's see. Lucy must decide how to stop the slasher, save her family, and blend into 2003, while her clothing was very 2000, so she'd fit in no problem. No one noticed the fact that there was another girl who looked like Summer floating about. The people of the town were dumb. Taglines: This murder is set on repeat. Oh god, no. Let's see Parents Guide. Sex and nudity? None. Violence and gore? Mild. Profanity? None. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking? Mild. It's about teens having parties, so of course there's going to be drugs and alcohol and smoking. Frightening and intense scenes? Mild. But no, I was weird. The fact, I don't think the smoking ban was in at that point. So there was not many people smoking outside or around about, which is weird because, again, before the smoking ban, most people smoked all the time if they were outside and all around and inside places. Violence and gore, let's see, mild. A teenage girl is slashed from behind with a large scythe. No blood. A teenage boy is stabbed in the neck with a broken DVD. Shown from behind the victim, later the victim is seen with a piece sticking out of his neck. A little bloody, but not graphic. Well, I'm surprised there was no blood with the scythe at all. And there was minimal amount of blood being stabbed in the neck. Now, being stabbed in certain places in the neck, it would be a fucking bloodbath and it would be an instant death. But hey, a teenage girl has her face slammed into a working escalator was probably the most graphic. Death occurs off camera, yep, but you just see her bloody face afterwards because, again, it's not going to be pretty. It's a fucking escalator. Soon after a man is stabbed, another camera angle depicts the two people slain amidst small pools of blood, which, again, the slasher killer isn't really doing his job by creating minimal blood spatter, put it that way. A man is hit with a truck and briefly knocked unconscious, no blood. A teenage boy is stabbed in the chest, no blood. Are we seeing a pattern here? It's a slasher movie without the blood. Profanity. There is one use of ass, two uses of hell, holy shit. One use of dick, and 8 uses of shit. Well, there's definitely uses of shit for this movie, but the fact that they've actually censored out the eye and dick is just in hell and ass. Oh my god, it's hilarious. It feels very religious to me to do that, to censor out hell especially. But the word shit is not fucking censored. It says shit with an abbreviation, so it's okay to say shit but not dick because it can be name and hell and ass. And ass is an animal as well, so what the fuck? Yeah, whatever. Again, mild alcohols, drink, drugs, and smoking. They've not even added it because it was that mild. It was fluffy. Frightening and intense scenes. There was none, by the way. Apart from the whole film being horrific. Horror, violence, and science fiction themes that you see more graphic items on an advert or a trailer for a movie, for fuck's sake. It has a PG-13 rating for some strong violence, including bloody images, weird language, terror, and a crude gesture. What the fuck? A crude gesture gets a PG-13? What the fuck? What the fuck? Wow. Oh, this really does feel like they're trying to bring kids into watching horror when Goosebumps, people, there's a good one. Are You Afraid of the Dark? And a slight introduction to horror. Even Miss Peregrine has better aspects. Again, it's a really good book, but still. I don't want to even read the trivia, apparently. Yes, principal photography began on all the kind of stills and stuff, and all the research for the movie happened before Totally Killer, but Totally Killer came out the year before. Again, they're just saying that the cinematography work was done before the concept of Totally Killer, yet Amazon manages to execute something that was apparently thought of after Netflix and still releases it a year before the movie actually came out. Yeah, right. Okay. Because you're trying to say that you didn't copy each other. It's going to happen. It happens everywhere. Goofs. 2G was the standard for cell phones in 2003, and while it wasn't used in the US any longer, modern phones are still able to connect to it because it's used in some other countries. So her phone would have gotten a signal, just no service, since it wouldn't have been activated back then, apparently. References to Back to the Future, and again, Back to the Future wasn't going back to save someone from being killed. It was released on the 30th of October in the UK. Its origin was the States. It's not telling you the budget or anything like that, which is always good. It means that they probably paid too much for it and they don't want to fucking admit that they did. So let's see the reviews. We'll go for tens because, come on, we love a good AI. Oh, there's only one 10. Haha, fantastic. Definitely written by AI. Spoiler. Fear Street meets Back to the Future. I disagree. If you love horror and time travel, this is for you. If you love horror and time travel, don't bother. I've seen way too many horror movies, but it's just something I do. Obviously not well. I notice some are downright too sickening to watch. Shut it. I won't go into detail, but sometimes it feels like watching somebody's perverted violent fantasy or reenactment of true crime for despicable pleasure. Hello, Stephen King. These are the movies I have a problem with. Why? I think society is way too detached from the reality of these aspects and overtly desensitized to these themes. Shut the fuck up, AI. Don't get me started on the themes of violence towards women in movies like Nightmare on Elm Street and Terrifier. Women don't. Men get killed in Nightmare on Elm Street too, and in Terrifier, you obviously are not watching them. If you were actually scared by Friday the 13th Halloween screen on Nightmare on Elm Street, then I hope you were a kid when it came out or when you saw it. Because it's not better just for having more gore. I mention these movies because people have been comparing them with this movie. I liked the beginning of Terrifier, but I couldn't finish the movie. It makes me sickly uncomfortable that so many people call it their favourite, because if I wanted to watch true crime, I'd watch true crime. What is the point in that fucking statement there? It's got nothing to do with the movie. What the fuck? I think a lot of viewers are looking for something like It Chapter 2, but this is more family friendly. Exactly. Family friendly. It wasn't listed as that, but hey, and again, It Chapter 2, like the other It Chapter 2, was shit. I think society needs to allow artistic space for more camera approaches to horror. No, no, and slashers, no, definitely not. You absolute douche. Fucking go back to watching Care Bears if you fucking like horror. To say there are no kill scenes is crazy because there was 3 in the beginning. You don't even fucking see them. That's what they're talking about. You don't even see them. There's not even any blood when he fucking takes a scythe to someone's body, for fuck's sake. Oh, boo-hoo, butt hurt, fuck off and jog on. I'm sitting down to watch a fun, spooky, scary movie. None of that makes sense. Contradicts itself. Not fiction. That was secretly inspired by true crime scenarios. Was it really? Time Cop takes inspiration from classics by recreating the idea of a serial killer having never been caught. Are you in the same reality? There is plenty of fucking serial killers in real life and mass killers who have never been fucking caught. Fuck me. Just because this movie also includes an incorporation of time travel doesn't make it a ripoff of Totally Killer. Yes, it fucking does, because it literally did. They also used a girl who looks similar to Zendaya. or Zendaya, sorry. But obviously she's the cheap version of her, and obviously not as talented as the actress herself, which I've noticed a lot in Netflix productions that they use a cheap version of her. They're both two entirely different movies with major differences in the endings. Same concept, shitty story, shitty plot holes. I like that Saw, Halloween, Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street are so engrossed in their own universes that it's obviously fake, but the plotline and the cast is enough to keep it fun when watching. What? That's what this movie is giving. I think the best part of the movie is when Lucy comes back to live a whole new life, because it wouldn't fucking happen, you idiot. Whereas you would think she would just cease to exist. Again, she stayed there so she would exist, you fucking dumbass. That was a plot twist for my time travel junkies out there. You idiot time travel junkies out there will bypass this movie like Totally Killer. But if you're used to happy endings, it won't come as a surprise. Horror movies don't usually have good endings and we need variety. This movie brings variety. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. It's like Dawson's Creek meets fucking I Know What You Did Last Summer. Literally. I wanted more from the ending, but nevertheless, it was officially one of my favourite movies. Again, this is AI, or you are a shallow puddle. Jump scares, suspenseful music, was it fuck? The colour difference between 2024 versus 2003, A plus acting. Haha, no. I felt like the writers could have done more with it. They could have done more if they actually expanded their brains and not tried to rip off movies, but Hollywood have the shittest people round tables these days who don't know anything, have no inspiration or intelligence or creativity. So I'm not surprised that we get this shite and then have fucking reviewers like you who seem to think that this movie is a fucking like a generational thing and it's a movie for a generation when it's not. It's another movie people fucking forget about because it sucked. Also, if Lucy's from the future, would she use that to benefit herself in the new timeline? Well, she doesn't. They invent the iPhone first. Again, it wouldn't work like that. They could have led us to believe a possibility of a sequel revolving through time travel, and again, they could make it a slasher with a new killer and new victims. This could have been a really good series, no, it wouldn't. If you've seen SpongeBob, this honestly reminded me a lot of the hash slinging slasher. And they could have incorporated those themes into a possible sequel. No, no one wants a fucking sequel. Because no one can believe they fucking sat through 90 minutes of that shite. Oh my god, it's people like you that basically give us movies like this. And they don't even have a proper name. It's GBGWKWSKQZ, and it was written on Halloween, funnily enough, and looks like it was written by AI or dumbass. I'm not sure. So let's go for 1-star reviews because you know I prefer them. What is that ending? An ending which goes back to her time, and her sister and family are happy and waiting for her because they decided to have another child would have been the best ending. Her staying in a time she doesn't belong in, doesn't exist, and no identity or name or parents knows she even exists. And she can apply to NASA because you don't need a social security card or identity to work for NASA? Question mark, question mark, question mark. It's so absurd. I normally don't hate endings, but this one did it for me. If she didn't exist, how could she even exist anywhere too? Like, that doesn't make sense at all. The flaws in this are so bad. Thank you, Kayla. What? That's basically what I would said in the last. I've been saying through the full review. Time waste, yes. I love Totally Killer again. You should be slapped for even saying that statement. And when I saw the trailer of this the first time, I got excited, even that the plot looked exactly the same. But this was so much worse. I'm not surprised anymore why Netflix didn't release for a couple of years. This was so bad and boring. Acting is so horrible and the characters are so unlikable that you don't even care who dies or not. Exactly, and not every kill is off screen. The main character has the same emotion on her face from the start to the finish. Even she was boring acting in this. People don't know that this was made before Totally Killer, but Totally Killer was released first, and I'm not mad about it. This boring so-called horror film we can forget and just pretend it was never even released. Time waste, not time cut. It literally cut my time watching this, man. I'll never get that fucking time back. I wish I could go back in time and miss this. Exactly. Several missed opportunities here. First, the title. Why not call it Cut from Time? Time Cut is the title they landed on because they couldn't think of anything else. Kind of like the story plot. Second, this movie is far inferior to the other time traveling slasher movies, Totally Killer. Totally Killer, stop fucking comparing it to Totally Killer when Totally Killer was totally shite. It was not anywhere. It's not a better movie. It is not. Even the killer's mask seems like a watered down version of Max Headroom mask from Totally Killer. No, it doesn't. It looks like fucking the killer's mask from Valentine. Third, the motive of the killer is really a significant leap and is only a matter of convenience. Fourth, no creative skills. I agree. Sorry, kills. I agree. Yes, I believe that too. Girl who died on an escalator has no escalator-related death. She couldn't even get her shoelace stuck in the escalator or something like that. Something that you expected, but no, she just gets her face pushed into an escalator step repeatedly over and over again. So there was not even a wee cliche of her getting her hair stuck or her lace or her jacket or something like that to tie it to it. No, just her trying to run up a down escalator and then having a shitty demise and then not even seeing it on camera because they were trying to make it for children. Okay then. Fifth, is it really that interesting to go back to the year 2003? I get it, she was trying to save her sister, but have her save someone else then? The only difference between 2003 and now is a smartphone, and they couldn't even do anything interesting with that. Ugh. And that was Randy Wall. Ryan D. Wall. Sorry, Randy. What the fuck? I cannot read that. Oh, my glasses are not beside me. You can tell. So basically, the reviews are kind of like mine. Put the cost of the movie up. They didn't tell us the box office gross and totals because it was a Netflix movie. We did 1-star reviews. I'm not even going to try and do the average reviews because the 10 review was only one and obviously written by AI and was so untruthful. There was no truth in that at all. You're obviously getting paid by word because there was like 6 paragraphs or something like that. So word count is obviously what you're getting paid by. Saying that the movie was good in a paragraph obviously wasn't what they wanted. I've read out the parental warnings and laughed my arse off. So now I'm going to tell you what I give the movie. I watched this movie and saved my husband from watching it because he would literally have hated it. And I wouldn't even put my son through it who is 12, who would most likely what the fuck is this? He would be like, this is not scary, this is not my movie. Why are you making me watch this? I give this movie 0 out of 5. Yes. Now I've only gave one other movie 0 out of 5, and it's been The Crow. Yeah, that's how bad this movie was. It was a teen movie. It was not a horror, and them trying to say it was laughable. So I give this movie 0 out of 5 because I felt like I was stuck in a terrible Freaky Friday moment with some mean girls and a pathetic killer that needed a kick up the ass. You graduate, you come a better person because you always were, and the ones that you caused your shitty childhood trauma, well, they don't tend to get better. They stay the same while the rest of us move on and become stronger. You didn't give us any hidden it'll be alright moments. You made me angry that this is your take in time travel and slasher, and you failed to hit either. You failed to hit either. It was pointless. I folded laundry at the same time, which I tend to do with movies that I am watching on Netflix. I was facing the TV and giving it my attention, and I had to pause it multiple times because I couldn't believe how bad it was. Have you saw Time Cut? Do you agree? Do you agree it's shit? Do you wish you could turn back time like Cher and get back to what was wasted in this movie and watch something decent? Because I do. At least when Deadpool went back through in time, he tried not to fuck things up and he was warned about the consequences of his actions, but he went to prevent someone from turning into a cop and save the day, which helped many people's lives work out different. He still jumped through many, many different time zones and timelines to accomplish what he needed to do. But he still fucked up shit. That's the thing. Still showed you that things got fucked up, but he made the most of it because he changed someone's life to prevent more people from being killed in the future. But again, actions have consequences. Going back to observe, fine. Going back, that's okay. Interacting with things from your past, whether you were born yet, you're still messing with the timelines that you may never exist if you weren't in existence in the first place. Is there anything decent these days, especially with fucking the. I feel that Netflix, Amazon, Paramount, was it Max? We don't really get it here, you get that in Sky, but I feel that there is a place for online avenues like streaming services for TV shows, especially, and for movies that may never have been made. Like Apple, they do a lot of things, and everybody knows how much I hate Apple for products, but for Apple TV, they create things that maybe would never have the budget to do or never not see the light of day. And their stories and the people they have around the table are completely different to obviously what they have around the table for Netflix and Amazon and everything like that. But there is a place for streaming and there is a place for cinema. But streaming services, when it comes to horror, I do feel that if it's not something like Shudder, that's predominantly for horror and for everything dark and spooky and awesome, they have shit movies and they have good movies, but the shit movies are better than this movie. I'm not talking about shit as in story. I'm talking about like movies that are like would be classed as B, C, and Z movies. Put it that way. But you watch them anyway because you know they're going to be terrible and terrible bad because you have something to talk about and laugh about, and things are over exaggerated as they're supposed to be in horror. But I don't feel that Netflix and Amazon actually themselves, those two films, Totally Killer, the name Totally Shit, it should be, that's what I was calling it. Totally Shit. Absolutely. And Time Cut is like, I want to cut that time out of my life, go back and watch something else. They're not hitting it. And making it teen friendly and child friendly, horror is horror. Doesn't and the thing is you don't even need gore for horror to be scary because real life aspects and concepts can scare the bejesus out of you for fuck's sake. We live in a crazy world, and again, I don't like it when they try and make horror soft and fluffy. It's not supposed to be soft and fluffy. If you don't like it and you can't handle it, then don't fucking watch it. No one's going to judge you for not liking horror. Well, I judge everyone for not liking horror, but still, I just can't believe that movies like this are still being classed under horror when there's nothing horror about them. As I always said, it's horrific to watch because they're trying to use slasher and slasher culture to push a movie that has nothing to do with it. It's literally been put in there as an afterthought and not actually. It would have been better as a true crime kind of without the horror, true crime and going back and trying to settle the score or trying to find the killer. You could have did it in this world, in this timeline, and going back and seeing if if you could go back and maybe find out things that maybe the police didn't know or the police weren't aware of, and then coming back to your time and actually resolving it, or going in that time and resolving it and putting the person away so nothing else would happen. And people could move on and that chapter would be closed, but hey, they didn't. There was a lot of things they could have done, yet they classed it as horror and labelled it as horror for October and released it in October. So there was plenty they could have done, yet they didn't. And that's what I'm very angry about. And I spent a lot of time talking about this movie because I was so angry with the fact that it had been presented in a way that showed horror, and it wasn't. False advertising, definitely. So Netflix do better. 0 out of 5. So that was Confessions from the Dark Side. Reviews from the Dark Side. Time cut. Movie review. What did you think? What are your thoughts? Have you managed to watch Time Cut? If so, what are your thoughts? If you like content like this, you may want to go check us out on our Confessions from the Dark Side social media platforms, our Twitter, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, Buzzsprout, and let us know what you think over on our social media platforms. Let's get chatting about this topic, all the topics. Let's grow our community and spread how awesome the horror community actually is. And that has actually been happening over on Instagram. So thank you for people who've been adding and commenting and following and just being a part of our community. And it's really nice to actually speak to. There was an actual director of a movie, the winemaker, who actually reached out and has been commenting on Speak No Evil review, and it was really, really nice speaking about other people's obviously opinions of the movie, and obviously the old movie, the book, and everything. That was really nice, and also having a like from one of the actresses who was in the first Omen as well. That was really, really nice, and it's so weird that my podcast about the review was flagged up, even though I do tag everyone who's in the movies. It was just really nice to actually be acknowledged. So thanks for everyone who's coming over and taking the time to like, follow, share, and watch and listen to my content. I do really appreciate it. If you want to reach out at any point, you can actually email us at confessionsonthedarkside@gmail.com. If there's something that you want to talk about, something that you think that I might be interested in, or something you think I've missed that I would like to know, please email us right there. There'll be links to individual social medias below. And like I said, that was Time Cut. I really wish I could get my time back from watching that. And I'll see you in the next one. I am Lady Darcy Darkness, and this is Confessions from the Dark Side, reviews from the Dark Side. Later.